Well, this is the first story. I think it's the first. I may have said later on one was the first, but I'm doing it on Borders, so this is really the first. It's not really an employment law story, but I think it is an interesting story. When I was in just starting law school, before I went my first day to law school, I had been in a fraternity house in Toronto, and every year the fraternity has an annual convention, and the members would elect one person to represent the local chapter at the annual fraternity convention. In my graduating year, it doesn't have to be a graduating person nominated, but it usually is. Now, my graduating year, the convention was in San Francisco. So I was nominated against another fellow from the fraternity who was a very good friend of mine. His name was Paul Rocks. And I knew Paul from high school, and through the fraternity, we were very good friends. And so it was to be determined between Paul and myself as to who got the nod to go to San Francisco for the convention. And the fraternity paid airfare, accommodation, meals, blah, blah, blah. So it was a big deal when you're, 19, 20 years old, whatever it was. And as fate would have it, I won the nomination. And I'm told, I didn't actually see the count, but I'm told I won it by one vote over my good friend Paul. So I decided, being a good-spirited fellow as I am, that I would ask Paul if he would like to go with me to San Francisco in my trusty and rusty, it was rusty, MGB, and use the funds for airfare and hotel, etc., to offset gas and blah, blah, blah. And we can both go. And we did. It was quite a trip. It was my first and Paul's first trip across Canada. We drove from Toronto to Vancouver and then down the coast to San Francisco. It was a great trip. Just the drive part was fun. And when we arrived at the fraternity convention in San Francisco, this story got a little bit of a buzz for some reason, and people found out about it. One day, one of the frat senior guys called me into this hotel room, and he had known that I was going to law school in September. This was, I think, in the middle of August. And he said, hey, David, we heard about your trip, and we really like what you did. Embodies the spirit of the fraternity life and fellowship and consideration for others, and we think you did a great thing. I said, okay, thank you very much. And he said to me, did you know that the fraternity had a graduate scholarship for 2 years, which at that time was $2,000 US a year. This was, a zillion years ago. So that would be real cash at the time. I said, I didn't know that. And he said, well, we think you should apply, sign here, and he had a whole bunch of papers, and I just signed my name. And then he said, congratulations, you've just won a fraternity graduate scholarship for 2 years. I said, wow, that was great. Talk about karma kickback. So it was a good story. Do something good, and who knows? Who knows what can happen?